So you may have recalled just even a few weeks ago, I was talking about NASCAR and how NASCAR has made this idea that they might want to go EV. And so manufacturers are stepping up to the plate to build some NASCAR-ready EVs. And I did a whole monologue a couple of weeks ago about why this is a terrible idea. This is a horrible idea. And in fact, I don't think it'll work, not just because I'm being an EV hater. I'm just thinking about from an objective business perspective here. So I talked about that. And I guess nobody at NASCAR was listening, or if they were, they probably didn't care what I thought. But so Chevy now has come along and made a EV thing that they're calling a NASCAR, and they are calling it the Chevy Blazer EV R. Yeah, because having that R at the end there means it's a race car. And I have to say, this does come by way of Motor Trend, which, if you also recall, was it last week? Yeah, it was last week when I was talking about the EV charger. I had to cancel Motor Trend essentially as a whole. I mean, because they took the side that even though it doesn't have a V8, even though it can't do a burnout, even though it's not made in America, even though it has 4 doors, all of the above, that somehow the Dodge Charger EV is still a muscle car, even though it is literally nothing that a muscle car is. And we went over the whole definition of a muscle car. Right? I mean, I proclaimed myself as the foremost authority on the matter. So basically, I mean, Motor Trend, it might as well be dead now too, along with the Charger, along with all of them. I'm not taking any prisoners here, okay? I'm being ruthless in how we have to approach this here. But they do report, Justin Banner at Motor Trend reports that this EVR, Blazer EVR, features 1,300 horsepower, which is pretty healthy. And it's a tri-motor powertrain. So it's got a single motor in the front and 2 motors in the rear, one for each wheel, and a liquid-cooled 78 kilowatt-hour battery pack. How many? What is 78 kilowatt hours in gallons? I don't know. So meaningless. It's a meaningless measurement is what it is. So anyway, so this car, I have some problems with it for conducting some, I would say, blasphemy. And some of it is the same as the Ford Mustang Mach-E EV from the other week, which is that A, it's an EV already. That's already out there. But B, it's that it is an SUV. I mean, what is with turning these SUVs and these crossovers into race cars? I don't get that, because now, granted, they couldn't model it after the Camaro because there is no Camaro anymore. Chevy doesn't have a muscle car in their lineup. Yeah, they have the Corvette. And the Corvette, you could argue that it's a muscle car in many ways. It is rear drive, it is V8, but it's also mid-engined. So mid-engine, I do believe, precludes this. This wasn't in my official definition before, so we're updating the definitions, but mid-engine does preclude it from being a muscle car. It is a sports car at that point, a supercar, whatever. So the fact is that Chevy goes, well, we need to make an EV NASCAR. What do we make it look like? Well, we don't have a Camaro anymore, and it doesn't make sense to do it of the Corvette. Also, because we do race the actual Corvette and other types of racing, let's make it look like the Blazer. And for some of my older listeners who might not be following with what the Blazer currently is, the Blazer now isn't like the K5 Blazers of old, a cool body on frame, essentially a short truck, essentially a truck-based platform. It's not that anymore. It's literally an SUV. It might as well be a Chevy Traverse, whatever. It is just not even a real SUV even. A real SUV would still be something body on frame, like the 4Runner or whatever. No, it is a crossover. It is a boring, pedestrian, simple crossover. And they put the Blazer badge on it. Now, granted, it could have been worse. They could have called it a Camaro, because that's what Ford's doing. Ford is making an SUV and then calling it a Mustang, even though it has nothing to do with the Mustang. So Chevy, to their credit, made the Blazer and at least didn't call it a Camaro now because, oh man, I don't know what sort of world we would live in if that happened. But the problem with these race cars, these manufacturers, is they're going to these EV platforms and then they're going to these SUV platforms. And they're doing that because that's what they're producing. That's what their regular cars are. They want to see, they want people to, it's like the olden days of racing. Race on Sunday, sell on Monday. Well, the cars they're selling on Monday are crossovers, unfortunately. And the thing is, though, like nobody, like, let me put it this way. You have a couple of kids walking with their mom or dad, down the sidewalk next to a street, and a SUV crossover thing like a Blazer drives by. Does the kid go, Mommy, look, it's a Blazer? No, of course not. They don't do that. Now, maybe if it had been a Camaro and it was loud and kind of cool, sure, maybe they would have. Maybe the kid would have done that. But now, I mean, the excitement that gets gearheads into stuff like this, who, by the way, are typically your race fans. The fact is that you, as a racing organization, for example, you want to win, right? You do want to win, and EVs are fast. Critics of my position will say, yeah, well, the EV's faster. Yes, I know the EV is faster. That's not the point. The point is, yes, you want to win the races, but you also want to provide a good spectator sport. Fill up all of those stands at the racetrack, and no one is going to watch, for one, SUVs, and electric SUVs, no less, race around a track. It's not going to be exciting. You're going to lose that portion of it. You're going to lose that fan base. And that fan base, they're the people who don't just go to the races. They buy your merchandise. They stream your races on TV. They follow your stuff. They follow all your social media. That fan base represents a huge amount of your actual business. It's not just, yes, the people who show up to a race. It is much greater than that. And you risk losing them. And you might say, oh, well, people are just going to have to get used to EVs being the thing now. No, they're not going to. They're going to move to the next most exciting thing that they can find that's more entertaining. That's what they're going to do.